Hey, fellas. I'm finally showered and cleaned up. How y'all doing? Hey, I wanted to come on for a minute because I don't have my earbuds in, so I'm having to talk close to the speaker for y'all. Nikki McCain, their trial today. It's been going on for a few days now, and we've been learning a lot. Remember how I talked about that pickup truck? Yeah, I said that person holds the key. Remember? That was what I was being told, is that whoever picked him up was holding the key to everything. We now know that person is a cooperating witness that was granted immunity. And the lady, the girlfriend, was also granted immunity. The couple that lived on the property for about 2.5 years. Justin and I think Karen, maybe. Don't quote me, but I believe so. Them two, they gave their stories in court, and I always felt like that Justin came out. I talked about him a lot. I talked about how I felt like, his uncle owned that property up there, right? And they're all related. They're all family related. Remember I said somebody married, somehow they're all related. There was quite a few people involved here, but now we're learning that he did go back and try to get the truck, and it wouldn't start, okay? We're learning that now, which I'd wondered, because I really think that gives us the answers that they've been looking for as far as where to look. I do feel now that he drove that truck there, and that sheet was left in the back of that truck with her DNA. She's got to be somewhere in that area, I would think. Whatever was left or whatever was in that area. With the amount that was found on the garage floor, the amount that was found in the pickup, that lit up purple when they sprayed it with that new stuff. It's like aluminol, kind of, but it's evidently a lot better. I don't know. It turns purple. But it doesn't know the difference between animal blood and human blood. But, come on. We know that was her DNA. It was tested on the sheet. So, we know that was her. So now it gives us a targeted zone. I've always wondered, do we have a solid target that we can work on? And I'm hoping that they're looking at this the same way I am. That gives you a possibility that he went there with one thing in mind. Not to leave the truck there. He didn't want that to happen, but karma happened, right? I always say God has a way of working. For some reason, whatever he did, he took her there evidently in that truck. So she's got to be somewhere there. And then when he went back to get in the truck to leave, it wouldn't start. So then he somehow got a hold of someone that he told the nephew or the uncle, can you please go jump in the truck and go get him down there on that road? And so evidently the girl and the guy went to get him. And he was saying the truck wouldn't start. But they didn't really know anything about what was going on with Nikki, supposedly, allegedly. I don't know. I still think that they gave him immunity for a reason, not just for their story. For basically not coming forward early. Although Justin did. He's the one that was straight out in the beginning. Yeah, I went to his mother's and picked her up when they lied and said no, she wasn't at the mother's. Like, he's the one that really brought that story forward. And then he kind of led into everything slowly. I think he was worried maybe to tell his story that he was going to be harmed by him, right? He lived on his property, for crying out loud. So, yeah, of course you'd be a little nervous, right? Probably worried about his girlfriend or, something bad could happen to her while he's, maybe gone at work or whatever. But I don't know. We're learning a lot more about the testimony and what these witnesses. And then there's also a confidential informant that on the day of that press conference in August, I think the first one he was a part of, right before his arrest, evidently that's when he confessed to this confidential informant person. I'd still like to know who that is. I think I know who it is, but I'm not going to say it yet because I'm not certain. I don't want to drag somebody through the mud that might not be part of it. But I believe it's somebody that worked at that casino at one time. I believe it's somebody that's part of that family by marriage or whatever it may be. And then the mother. I wonder if the mother's going to get charged. She lied straight out to investigators in the beginning. Evidently, she told him no, that Nikki had never came to her house, but that's whenever the other guy spoke up and contradicted her story, that picked Nikki up and took her back to the house. Why he didn't take her to where she was staying, and he took her back to the truck thing, I think, or whatever. Somehow this all got worked out as a plan. So I have a feeling that they all had to know, right? I mean, come on. But then again, maybe they really didn't know nothing. Maybe he was secretive about it and going to secretly do it, drop it. But where was he going to put the truck, right? Was he just going to take it back with him and clean it or burn it, or what was he going to do? Because evidently he had no intentions of leaving that truck at that bridge, because that one guy stated that it wouldn't start. He tried starting it, it wouldn't start. So that's karma right there. That's when phone technology had to start. Even if he had his phone off up until that point, that's when everything had to change. That's when he had to make a phone call to get picked up. That's when he had to do something to get them people to come and get him. And the man did say that one of them evidently was contacted by Tyler, and then the other one told the nephew or the uncle told that person, hey, go get him, whatever. And that's kind of what it went down. But there's so much more to this, right? But evidently they got enough solid evidence to nail him to the wall. Which, you know, the motive, of course, like I said from day one, the motive is that there's charges that she was not dropping. He was going to go to jail for up to 35 years for that. And that's why he did this anyway. He was running out of time. He did it a couple weeks before, and that's why I was so mad why they never arrested him in the beginning, when he's the only one that had a motive. Nobody else had a motive. And she was in contact with her sisters daily, pretty much. At least the one sister I know for sure. But they were a tight family. Those sisters have fought through, they have clawed and fought their way to this. They've had to put up with this man and stand next to this man on a stage, knowing in their heart. Oh, what bravery. Bravery. Those sisters, they deserve a pat on the back. And what about the children? They lost not only their mother, now they're most likely going to lose their father too. Yeah, it's just, I know some would say they're better off, and they might be. They might be, but you still, as a child, you got to fill that void somehow. That hole's always going to be there for a mom and a dad, always going to be there. And it's always going to bother them. Hopefully, prayerfully, they will get through everything, and these sisters will keep keep spreading it the correct way and be positive about it. This, you know, of course, this is something that's tragic and out of their hands, of course, because Nikki didn't tell them very much. And usually the ones that are abused don't talk much. Look at Gabby Petito. I mean, there's so much, right? In the Gabby Petito case, it had to be way worse than that if it ended up the way it ended up on that particular trip. Just like this, he tried to unalive her like for 3 hours, and she made it out of there somehow. God was with her, and she got to the hospital and gave her statements, and they had the photos, and they had enough to put him in jail for that automatically. But they knew down deep that I'm sure their gut told them that he did this. So probably why they did it that way. I think they kind of explained that they kind of did it that way so they could build this case better and stronger. And then that was the motive, of course. It's heartbreaking because she didn't do anything wrong, and they should have been protecting this woman better than they did. That's the sad thing now, is these women are not protected enough when they come forward. They're just not. And it's sad. It's really sad. Susan Simpson's another one. We've searched a lot for Susan Simpson, and we're still not done. But they kind of been postponing that one, I think, because they're trying to locate her body, which is tragic too. So we know that area pretty well now. We really need to get back over there, and we might do that. See if we can't help them again. I know they're postponing it for those reasons. But, you know, in this case, it looks like, I believe it's going to go to trial. I think they got enough from what I'm hearing. I know today it still could be another, today, by the end of this week, it should be wrapped up from what I've been told. But I think that it's already pretty evident that, you know, they're going to go to trial, it looks like. Injustice. Justice for Nikki McCain, finally. Right? Finally. It's been this long. And think about Susan Simpson. Next month, October 6th is a year. A year. And I don't know. We're going to follow these closely. We're going to follow Nikki McCain closely. We've always felt like we had the answers early, and evidently they just didn't have enough at that point in time. And thank God they were finally able to get enough to make this arrest. Better late than never. So, with that said, again, my condolences to the family and to the children. Nikki had 4 children, four or five. She had quite a few children, and they're without their mother, and it's not her fault, and it's just sad. So, of course, my heart goes out to them. We send them hugs, and anything they ever need, I've always told them, just reach out, and we'll help in any way we can. As I believe in some kind of fundraiser, maybe for those children, college and things like this that are going to come up, right? And they're going to need help sometime along the line. And kind of like Susan Simpson's, that mother, that grandmother on a retired teacher's salary stepped up. And, we did that little fundraiser thing, remember, through that deal, and they raised quite a bit for them, which is amazing. So, anyway, guys, y'all be good. Y'all be safe. Have a blessed day. We love y'all. Hugs always. Prayers that justice is going to come. It looks like it. I hope it's going to come to trial. I think it's about time one of these is going to go to trial. There's been so many big cases that have ended in pleas, and it's unreal. I also heard a rumor about an hour ago that Christina Famella might be trying to work a plea or something. I don't know if that's true. Take it as a grain of salt, but in this case, I think he'll fight it. There's a lot going on in this case, and we need to wait and see how this preliminary stuff's going to play out, and pray that it goes to trial and justice is done for Nikki McCain. Still a little bit longer in the fight, but it's worth the fight. So prayers to everyone, and shout out to the sisters. Pat stuff on the back. I mean, y'all have done amazing to try to keep this case alive. So it's good to see that it's coming around the corner. But anyway, allegedly, like I said, these are my opinions and thoughts. Take it as a grain of salt, right? Y'all's comments here, y'all's know I was long not to reflect the channel. We do our research together because we are big on that family. Trigger warnings always. This is a heartbreaking story. And I think hopefully it looks to be, to me, about just looking at it, I'm pretty good at guessing these. I do feel that they got plenty. But there's always a bombshell somewhere sometimes that might fall, but as of right now, it looks like it's going to go to trial to me. I could be wrong, and I might be, you never know, but it just depends on how much they really got and how credible those witnesses and what kind of immunity and all that. I mean, they must have put some stuff on the line, because we knew that there were suspects and not just one. And then when that one arrest, I kept wondering when they're going to come out, and then now we learned that they were never going to come out. They decided to talk and grab immunity. So it tells me somewhere they might have played a role somehow, but as long as they get the main one, I guess that's justice, right? It's the best that it can be. I think they should all pay the price, but we don't know how much they were involved, and if they were involved at all. We know they picked him up, and we know as soon as they told the truth from the start, so I don't really know. It's too hard to say, but why need immunity then? If you didn't have any wrongdoing at all, you wouldn't need immunity. So that, to me, that kind of makes me believe that they know more, and I'm sure more will come out. We're just getting a little bit of the icing on the cake, so we'll see a lot more in trial. I hope they do have a bomb load of it. I hope they lock this man up forever. He never gets out. That's what it looks like to me. Anyway, y'all guys be good. We love y'all. Remember, everyone's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, even Tyler McCain. Justice will come, I believe. All right, guys, talk soon.